There's 3 sisters. Once upon a time, there lived a woman with 3 daughters. The 2 older sisters were so unlucky that nothing they did ever went right. Their plans always failed, and their hopes never came true. But the youngest, whose name was Nella, was born to good luck. The sky blessed her with its light, Venus gave her unmatched beauty, and love gave her its power. Everything she touched turned to perfection. 'Tis every time she danced, she was met with thunderous applause. Naturally, her sisters and even her own mother grew incredibly jealous and secretly wished her harm. In that same land lived an enchanted prince. The moment he saw the beautiful Nella, he fell deeply in love. He did everything he could to win her heart, and soon enough, she fell for him too. They married in secret, but they needed a way to be together without her family finding out. The prince, using his magic, created a crystal passage that led from his palace straight into Nella's room. He also gave her a magical powder. "Whenever you want to see me," he said, "just throw a little of this powder into the fire. I'll come through the passage as fast as a bird. Running along this crystal road to see your beautiful face." And so, every night, the prince would visit Nella through the secret passage. But their happiness was not to last. The jealous sisters, always spying on Nella, discovered the secret of the crystal path. One night, they snuck out and broke the passage, shattering the crystal into sharp, jagged pieces. The next time Nella threw the powder into the fire, the prince came running as usual. But this time, he ran straight into the broken, sharp crystal. He was cut and slashed all over, unable to go any further. Wounded and bleeding, he turned back and collapsed into his bed. The king was frantic. He summoned every doctor in the land, but since the crystal was enchanted, the wounds were beyond any human cure. They were mortal. Desperate, the king sent out a proclamation. Whoever could cure the prince could either marry him or receive half the kingdom. When Nella heard the news, her heart shattered. She disguised herself as a poor beggar and left home, determined to see her beloved prince one last time. She journeyed late into the afternoon, and as darkness fell, she found herself in a deep wood. Seeking shelter, she climbed a large tree, hoping to spend the night safely in its branches. By chance, the tree she chose was right next to the house of an ogre. As she settled in, the ogre and his wife sat down for dinner with their windows wide open to enjoy the evening air. After they had finished their meal and put out the lamps, they began to chat, and Nella, hidden in the tree, heard every single word. The ogress asked her husband, "My dear, what's the news? What's happening in the world?" He chuckled and replied, "Everything is a complete mess." "What's happened?" she asked. "Well," said the ogre, "I could tell you many stories, but let's talk about the king's son. He had a crystal path to visit a pretty lady, but her wicked sisters broke it. He ran along it, not knowing, and wounded himself so badly that he's going to die. The king has promised a great reward to anyone who can cure him, but it's all useless. They might as well start planning the funeral." Hearing this, Nella began to sob quietly. "Why would my sisters do this?" she whispered to herself. "Why would they want to destroy my happiness?" Just then, the ogress spoke again, and Nella went silent as a mouse to listen. "There's really no medicine that can help him?" the ogress asked. "No human medicine," the ogre replied. "There is only one thing that could save his life, but don't ask me to tell you what it is." "Oh, please tell me," she begged. The ogre hesitated. "All right," he said, "but you must swear to keep it a secret. If anyone finds out, it will be the end of us." The ogress swore she would never tell. "You must know then," the ogre whispered. "The only thing on this earth that can save the prince from death is our fat. If his wounds are anointed with our fat, he will be instantly cured." Once Nella heard this, a plan began to form in her mind. She waited for them to finish talking, then climbed down from the tree. Taking a deep breath, she knocked on the ogre's door, crying out in a pitiful voice, "Oh, please, for charity! A pity on a poor, wretched creature, lost in these woods and dying of cold and hunger." She kept knocking and crying, putting on the performance of a lifetime. The ogress, feeling a small bit of pity, was about to toss her half a loaf of bread and send her away. But the ogre, who was far more interested in human flesh than his wife was, said, "Let the poor thing in. If she sleeps outside, a wolf might get her." Day. The ogress opened the door, and the ogre secretly planned his midnight snack. But the two of them had drunk quite a bit of wine with their dinner, and they soon fell into a deep, heavy sleep. Seizing her chance, Nella crept to a cupboard, took a large knife, and with a heavy heart, she ended them both. She collected all of their fat in a pail and made her way straight to the royal palace. Presenting herself before the king, she claimed she could cure the prince. Overjoyed, the king led the disguised beggar woman to his son's room. As soon as Nella anointed the prince's wounds with the ogre fat, they began to close. Within moments, he was completely healed, as healthy as he had ever been. The king was ecstatic. "This good woman deserves the promised reward," he declared to his son. "You will marry her." Bed. The prince shook his head. "I will not. My heart already belongs to another." Hearing this, Nella stepped forward and said, "You might not love that girl anymore when you hear that it was her own sisters who caused your sickness." The prince replied, "I know my misfortune was their doing, and they will pay for it." Nella then asked softly, "Then, do you truly love her, too?" The prince looked at the beggar woman and said with all his heart, "More than my own life." "Embrace me then," Nella said, "for I am the fire of your heart." The prince was confused. He didn't recognize her beneath the dirt and rags. So, Nella called for a basin of clean water. She washed her face, and as the grime was washed away, her true beauty shone through like the sun. The prince gasped. It was her, Delu. They ran into each other's arms and embraced, their hearts finally reunited. They were officially married in a grand ceremony, and as for the two evil sisters, the prince had them thrown into an oven, proving the old saying true: no evil ever goes unpunished.